Has anybody ever wronged you in such a way that it's hard for you to forgive them? You know, they could have easily betrayed you, cheated on you, lied to you constantly, physically or verbally abused you, and you just really can't get over it. So you feel this heaviness on your shoulders and in your soul. Today, we're going to be talking about forgiveness and different ways on how to handle that based off of our experiences. So let's get to it. Stay tuned.
Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Bump Podcast. I'm your host, Shamir.
And I am Nabil. Welcome to today's episode.
Thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you guys for all the love you have been giving us.
Oh, yeah.
Through all the social platforms. We're growing at a steady pace. You know,
We are indeed.
Probably not at, a super pace probably that you imagine sometimes being a YouTuber or a podcaster. But
Yeah.
at the end of the day, it's part of the process, and we're enjoying the whole way through.
Yeah, for sure.
Today we're going to be talking about forgiveness, forgiving people, forgiving yourself, just forgiveness in general. Bill?
It's a topic a lot of people want to avoid. That's for sure.
That is that's definitely true. Yes, people in general. It's a huge topic.
Yeah.
Anyways, do you have the meaning of forgiveness?
Oh, yes, I do, as usual, for sure.
Yes.
So forgiveness, the action or process of forgiving or being forgiven. Pretty straightforward if you ask me. I guess I want to challenge you guys to kind of think about where in your life do you guys struggle to forgive people who've, done wrong by you in some way, shape, or form. Yeah. Or have you, done something bad to people that you care about and, they haven't been able to forgive you, or you might not even have been able to forgive yourself.
Mm-hmm. That's a good one.
Today, we're hoping to be able to kind of rectify that a little bit, give you some tools to be able to help you guys work through that. Because it's even in this season right now, as we're recording this, I've been touching upon this topic with some people in the Freedom Group that I'm currently co-leading with. And I was just like, wow, how crazy that it ends up being the topic that we're going to talk about on the show and stuff like that. And I was just like, man, this is crazy. And even these past few weeks at work, I've had to learn how to do that too, and be able to forgive people and show grace and mercy. And specifically today, at the end of the day of work, I was able to see the fruits of that,
Good.
Like I've mentioned before, I've been able to get along with people I never really thought I'd have some sort of relationship with. Yeah. Acquaintanceship, friendship, all of that stuff. And so being able to kind of show them forgiveness, show them grace, ask for forgiveness has really been a beautiful thing to be able to experience and see. Yeah, so that's kind of my 2 cents right there about the topic right now.
Yes. I'm going to talk about a few experiences in my personal life when it's come down to forgiving people. I'm going to start off by saying that it's taken me a very, very long time to learn how to forgive to the point where, like, when you get rid of that anger and that resentment towards that person, you've dropped it, and it's in the place you dropped it, you left it there, and you never looked back.
Okay.
There is going to be moments in life where let's say if the person stays the same after,
like they don't,
like you forgive them or whatever, but they still don't change.
Yeah.
You have to be the better person and just move past that. And it's one of the sayings that I said when I was in prison. It's the best advice they ever gave me, which is you have to think for yourself and for other people, because certain people don't have something to think with. They have a head to carry their hair, but not their brain.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I've learned through time and experience that when you drop things and you look past them and you keep moving forward, that just builds your character that much more, and it shows how refined you've become through
over time
going
and stuff.
through the furnace of life. Correct.
Yeah.
And you know, I could go through moments of, you know, me being cheated on in the past in one of my past relationships, and guess what? You know, I've had to forgive one of my dearest best friends because this man, you know, did me wrong. But at the end of the day, you know, everything else this man has done for me has outweighed a woman that wasn't worth my time and wasn't relevant in my life past that time. But anyways, and it not just him. There was another person that, you know, did the same girl. That was another homeboy of mine back in the day. I really don't talk to him anymore, but you know, it happened to me twice. You know, I've been cheated on in the past as well but this was like middle school. Other than that, yeah, real quick, just to say that, just to make people laugh real quick, you know, I was in the middle of a class period and I had to go use the restroom. When I go out to the restroom, my ex-girlfriend is with this other guy just making out in the hallway. So I just acted like I didn't see it. And then in the afternoon, when she asked me what was wrong and why I'm acting different, I'm just like, you know why? And then that's where I broke up with her. So I've been getting my heart broken since middle school, but it's okay. You know, it's just, it's things of life. But yeah, long story short, that's been one of the times I've had to forgive people and just look past it. You know, some people are in my life that I've forgiven and some people aren't, you know. Sometimes you have to just let go of a person, even though you've had years of trajectory with this person. You know, even family members, sometimes you got to leave family members to the side because they might not be a productive person for your life or the things that you're doing in the current moment of your life. But another experience as well has been forgiving myself personally of a lot of things that I've done in the past. You know, my criminal activity, you know,
beating me up once.
Beating Nabil up once was very terrible. And I've mentioned it in prior podcasts that it's something that it's PTSD for me because it's still something that like hinders my mind, you know, every so often, and for no reason, because it's like it could be like random, like I'm not even thinking about it, it pops up to my head and I feel bad about it. Like I internally, like my heart just gets squeezed like a sponge and it cries. It
hurts him more than it does me.
Man, I know. Like you really just you're.
I forgave him.
Yeah, and that's fine because it's like it's not that I haven't forgiven you. Like I forgave you and all that, and I look past that. But it's just like at the same time,
He forgave me.
It's like. Yeah,
for the crime I committed.
For the crime you committed.
It was all because of a box of cookies.
Yeah, it was a box of cookies.
And I freaking ate them all.
Yeah.
And mind you, we were grown. It was my 21st birthday. And he got mad about it. It was on my 21st birthday. Everyone likes to go out, get drunk and stuff like that. I was in a tussle with this guy right here.
It's terrible. Yeah, it was your 21st birthday. I remember it was a birthday. Yeah,
we were all supposed to go out, and it ended up just being mom, dad, and me. And I think we just went out for dinner, and I was just like, let's just go.
Yeah, I'm gone.
Whatever.
It's all good. But anyways, the thing is that at the end of the day, you know, it's just things that sometimes just, even though you've forgiven a person or they've forgiven you or you're past it, it just pops up to your brain. But it's just normal things of life. But anyways, another thing too I wanted to speak upon is, you know, people confuse forgiveness with reconciliation.
Okay.
One thing that I wrote down was that
what is it? Forgiveness with what?
Reconciliation.
Oh. Not reconciliation.
Reconciliation? Yeah. There you go, guys.
I forgive you for that one, too. So does the audience.
You know, so it's just, I ain't perfect. It's okay. But I learn something new every day, so I take it as a positive. So thank you. Yee.
Oh, dang.
Shout out to...
I added that onto the podcast.
It's all good. I guess it is.
It's an inside joke. We'll explain it some other time.
Dang it. We'll bring that person on the show one day. Yeah. Anyways, so yeah, I wrote down it takes two people to reconciliation.
Reconcile.
To reconcile. Thank you. Anyways, but one person can forgive without being, you know, reconciled with the other person.
Yeah.
And what I mean by that also is that, forgiveness is not for the other person. It's for you and your internal well-being.
100%. Yeah.
What I mean by that is, and the reason why I wrote this down is I didn't want to forget. I wanted to make sure it was on the podcast.
You're essentially letting go of whatever resentment or anger or sadness you have towards that person.
This is one thing. I always firmly believe the reason why you're mad at a person or a person is mad at you is because something you're lacking or something that person is lacking in their life that you don't see eye to eye. And these things occur, that whatever situation it may be. So, I saw this quote as well online earlier, and I wanted to mention it, which it says, when you don't forgive a person, it's like drinking the poison, waiting for that person to die.
100%.
I've seen it in multiple videos in the past, but I saw it today again, and I mentioned that because it's like, that it's the wrong mentality to have, because again, this is why I'm saying that, forgiving it works more for you than the other person, because maybe that other person won't forgive you. Maybe that other
they want
person
nothing to do with you.
Nothing to do with you and all that stuff. But at the end of the day, you've dropped everything and you keep going. We are all human. We make mistakes, but at the same time, we have to be able to let go of those things that just attack your heart. And the reason why I say heart is because when you think about these things, the problems, past problems or whatever with that person, when it's something that, if it's a person you really care about, it hurts your heart, man.
Yeah, of course.
And it affects you internally. And sometimes it stops you from doing certain things in the day because it's hurt you that much.
Yeah.
Maybe you fall into depression or bad eating habits or whatever it may be.
Oh, yeah.
So it affects you to that point. So it's like, that's why it's good to work on yourself, whether that person works on their self or not, forgives you or not, or if you forgive them. And this is the last thing I wanted to say. I wrote it down, so just bear with me. It also says here, also understand you must forgive yourself, and sometimes people will play victim just to pursue the fact that you are wrong, but in reality, sometimes the person is wrong for using that tactic to try to and overcome a conversation or an argument. In this case, I personally this is what I do. I just subdue myself from the conversation or take fault sometimes and let life take care of that person, because sometimes my words might not go through that person, whether it's because of the argument or just, for example, like our elders. Sometimes we talk to them, and just because they're older and they have that old school mentality, they think that
they're stuck in their ways.
They're stuck in their ways, and that like your words ain't nothing. Like they can't learn from you, and they'll still say like, yeah, we can learn from kids, from a baby, from
but
whoever.
They're not interested in that.
And realistically, when you see these things happen and issues happen, they only see.
They're still stuck on the saying of you can't teach an old dog new tricks.
Exactly.
I hate that saying so much.
And that's why I wrote all this down, because I wanted to bring it on the podcast for that reason, because it's like a lot of people don't understand that sometimes people will play victim just to make you feel bad and get their way. That's the main
guilt tripping you.
Right. And I man, it bothers me so much because it happens to me, quite often with a lot of people. And then, I've lived a very strong life where like everybody would point fingers at me, whether I was doing right or wrong. It was accustomed people just pointing fingers at me. And it's, it got to the point like when I was in prison, even if you were doing the right thing, the officers and all them people in the chain gang would just bash you with all types of things. And then everybody in the chain gang, when it comes to the prisoners, everybody's perfect in there and this and that. So it's like any little flaw you do, they'll just point fingers at you and say all types of stupid stuff. And it's things that affect you mentally if you let it, but at the same time, sometimes it gets to you, because it's like, bro, like people keep pointing fingers. And at the end of the day, it gets to the point where you're like, you know what?
It's all built up at that point.
Yeah.
Resentment.
And then you got to let it go.
Yeah, you have to.
Because if you don't, man, it'll take so long. Yeah, it's taken me very long to heal, but I've come to the conclusion, like ever since my son's been born and a lot of other things been happening in my life, I just let go, because I know that life has proven me that I'm free. I'm out of prison. and I'm not in that situation still. There's some
Right.
people that caught way more time than I did for maybe the same thing I did, or even other crimes,
Mm-hmm.
and they're still in there for a reason, because they still haven't learned their life lesson.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
And even then, even people that are out here that are in prison mentally, you know, you could see it through their actions and the things they say,
Mm-hmm.
the things they do,
Right.
you know, and at the end of the day, that's what I try to base my forgiveness off, and the decisions I make towards, am I going to keep this person around in my life still, or am I just going to drop them, you know?
Yeah.
So what is forgiveness when it comes to the Bible? Do you know?
I mean, one of the verses, one of the examples that I can kind of give out is 1 Corinthians 13, chapter 13, verse 5. And it says, it keeps no record of wrongs, right? And in this case, I'm going to bring it up when you're in a relationship, specifically, whether you're dating or you're married, or maybe not even just that. I don't want to stick it to just that. Any kind of relationship you might have, what that means is you're not making a checklist internally or literally on your notes, let's say, of every time that person's failed you, so that one day when you blow up and lash out at them, you could be like, look, this is what you did to me, and this and this and this and this and this, because we tend to do that easily,
Right.
because of the fact that, you know, we can only take so much of it, that when we blow up, we are going to bring it up to you and we're going to say it to your face.
Right.
And when you do that, now it's no longer, the conversation is no longer about what triggered it. Now it's about all these other things that you should have just spoken about it when you felt it in the moment, or, you know, maybe a couple hours later afterwards. Not all at once, because now you probably overwhelmed the person, or you pissed the person off so much that they just really just want to check out, because they're like, bro, this person's psychotic. What do you mean I did this and this to you? Like, what are you talking about, bro? I'm talking to you about this. Well, no.
Yeah.
The point is you know, you didn't pick me up when you needed to, or you know, you didn't get my clothes cleaned, or whatever, you know what I mean? And then you have all this harbored resentment,
Yeah.
that you don't even feel like you want to forgive. You're like, forget this person. I just want to, you know, get this person out of my life and call it done. Which sometimes you need to, what's the word I'm looking for? Get cut out people.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'll go with. Cut out people who are just too toxic in your life and is hindering your growth.
Yeah.
Right. And sometimes in order for you to grow, you have to do the opposite, which is to forgive. How do you forgive? For me personally, prayer, seeking out verses in the Bible and all that stuff. I have to. That's like the first thing I need to do, so that I can be pointed into the right direction.
Sure.
Whether God uses other people, something I hear on the radio, something I read, you know, whatever it might be. After that, I'll listen to, let's say, different types of music. It's not necessarily worship music, but it could be worship music. That's my go-to also. That's me personally.
Yeah.
What I go to first. But then other songs that speak truth and life into you, to where it calms you down. It allows you to collect your thoughts, and then you're just like, you know what I said to this person was wrong, and yeah, they ticked me off first.
Sure.
But I need to go and ask for forgiveness, because what I did was wrong, and I don't want to lose this person.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I don't want to lose this friendship or relationship or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And hopefully, and this is super important too. A lot of times, if you're going to ask for forgiveness or something like that, don't do it through text message. If you can avoid it as much as possible, don't do it through text message, messenger, nothing. No, you call the person. If you could FaceTime them or you could see them in person, do that. Why? Because you're going to see that person's intention, and they're going to see yours.
Mm-hmm.
And they're also, you're just going to feel that energy off of them.
Yeah.
Where you know if what they're saying to you and what they're apologizing for or asking you for their apology is sincere or not.
Yeah.
And that to me is the best form of communication.
And I think that if it's something genuine, that's truly genuine from both parties, it should be spoken in person. I mean,
but a lot of people don't. That's my point. That's why I'm bringing this up, because everybody wants to do it through text, and then through text it could seem all nice and cool and stuff like that. And then next time you meet with them, they're still just irking you. So it's like, well, then what the heck was the point of this conversation for?
I remember one time I was in a restaurant and there was it was a relationship, I'm assuming. They were both texting each other instead of talking to each other in the table. They're texting each other, and then they would just look up to do facial expressions and go back to texting. It seemed like they were arguing because of the faces they were giving each other. I was just like, what world are we living in nowadays that people are literally just texting, and then their facial expressions is what tells you if they're arguing, if they're happy, or how are you even making a relationship work by just texting? Like, what kind of relationship is that? You know, I'm not trying to judge.
That's just robotic. I mean, I feel like AI would do better than them.
To this point nowadays, it's just like, bro, like we've gotten to those times where things are like that, and I completely agree with you on that because people are just so focused on their phone, and oh, that's another thing too. People giving expression to text messages as well.
Yeah.
How do you give expressions? That's assumption at this point. You get what I'm saying? Like if you're asking for forgiveness or you're trying to talk a conversation of this matter, right?
Yeah.
Over text.
Yeah.
It makes no sense to me because whether you know the person or not, sometimes people assume wrong through text. I've even
always
done assumptions that I'm just like, why is this person like this? And then when like I confront them in person, they'll be like, bro, I was not even
mad
in that matter, right? I wasn't mad or whatever it was. So then it leads to that. It's a huge misinterpretation if you're trying to ask for forgiveness through a phone. I think anything that you're trying to solve it in person, or just wait, be patient, and wait until the conversation comes up. Because I could tell you, sometimes I've made mistakes. Instead of like conversating, I've gotten irritated at the moment. For example, if I'm mad, and then I end up just sending 1,000 text messages instead of like.
This is true.
Yeah, that was more in the past than now, but it's happened nowadays, you know, but not as frequent. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like,
I'm just kidding.
Yeah, no, it's funny because like when I was editing, I think it was like 2-3 podcasts ago. I was like, I did not see Nabil do these faces next to me when I was saying something recently. It wasn't bad, but you were just doing these expressions. I was like, I didn't even see him do them. I was like, good job, man! Like, got away with it. Anyways, but yeah, so at the end of the day, we need to learn to forgive. Obviously, there's different ways of doing it. I believe that there's certain situations that, you know, it's not that you shouldn't forgive them. It's that if you were in the right and that person was in the wrong, you have to let them know, like, hey, this is something that you have a flaw in that you need to work on. Because I every time I have an issue with someone, I point out the wrongs that I've had and how I've corrected them.
Yeah, that's the best form of communicating how they could work on themselves.
Yes, because if you're just pointing fingers and being like, you this, you that, you this, it's like you're throwing more gas to the fire instead of being like, bro, listen, I've been through that. And you explain a situation and you're like, you know what? Let's work this out this way instead of going towards a judgmental way of forgiving or asking for forgiveness, because, you know, it just depends the person you're talking to, if they're mature or not. That's a huge
also
part of it, because there's a lot of people that are adults that act like children, and when you talk to them or try to talk to them, it's always on a defensive mode where they're like, no, but
they're not listening to you. They're just waiting to react to whatever it is you're saying.
You know what I'm saying? I think, and I'll be honest with you, like I said it in one of the podcasts a while ago. It was one of the first ones where I was like, bro, like back in the day, I was the one to only talk and not listen to people, because it was just like I wanted my voice to be heard and nobody else's. And that's not the way to go, because it's like, that's a selfish way of thinking. It's erroneous, and and you got
it's just ignorant.
And it's ignorant, yeah. It's egocentric, and it's not right, you know. So as people, I think that when we're looking to forgive or go through these situations, we have to measure everything out before having a conversation. Sometimes you should take some time. I think that's the most important thing. Just have the patience and take some time to analyze everything. And, you know, whether you need to go to professional help or all these other things to maybe talk these situations out to find solutions, by all means, do what you have to do. What I must say as well, when these issues come up, please do not rely on, you know, alcohol or any type of drug that's going to affect you.
That's
and
a great point.
And the reason why is because obviously the chemical imbalances and everything else, your mood swings, depression kicks in. All these things are just, it's all also gas to the fire instead of, sometimes back in the day when I used to be a heavy drinker and all this stuff, I tried to have conversations with people about issues to try to like make amends and whatnot. But I'm over here trying to talk about it drunk or high or under the influence of something. It makes no sense, so I bring that up too because I know there's a lot of people out there struggling with some type of substance or just substance abuse disorders in general, and they want to solve problems. That's not the way to solve a problem, and come to amends with people. So that's definitely where I'm at right now when it comes to forgiveness. I know there's a huge amount of other things that we could talk about, which I want to come to a question as well for all you people that are listening to us and watching us on YouTube.
Right.
Can you forgive the person that is affecting you in your life right now? Have you been able to forgive a person, or have people been able to forgive you for the things you've done wrong? Please write that on the comment box down below.
Yeah.
Or email us like we've said. I've had already multiple people talk to me about other situations and stuff, and it's been freaking awesome, man.
Yeah.
I love it because, it just drives to better conversations and productive conversations with you guys. Yeah. And also it continues to bring a system for everybody to look for better things, to have self-betterment in their life and just to be a better person and build up your personality.
Yeah.
So,
I think one of the harder things that makes forgiving sometimes impossible is just you kind of feel like you're giving up the right to justice, to what you believe is justice based off of whatever topic you were talking about.
Yeah.
You're kind of you're hurt, you're pissed, your brain is clouded by what your heart's kind of feeling because of the situation that's happening. Sometimes we really want to hold them accountable for the reason as to why they're wrong in our eyes and stuff like that, and letting go of that because our pride gets in the way is also what makes it so difficult for us, especially again if it's between people closest to you. In moments where you're in a high season and somehow they just kind of trip out about it,
right? And
they just come at you like in some sort of way that you didn't expect.
Yeah, like it's aggressive or something.
Yeah, aggressive or just maybe even sometimes like in a nonchalant kind of manner where they're just kind of
I think a lot of people also it's hard to forgive. It's hard for them to forgive the world and things because it's probably been a lot of the same thing for them. A lot of trauma, a lot of arguments of the same thing with past relationships, whether it fits with your girlfriend, boyfriend, or your parents or whoever, a close loved one, your friends. And they've probably been going through the situation for many years of their life. So it's just so hard. They're in a defensive mode because it's like, bro, I've tried to forgive so many times. I've tried to give so many opportunities to these people and they still fall short in what I'm asking for. And maybe that person is not wrong because sometimes you have to have certain standards towards people because sometimes people like to take advantage of you being a humble person, a nice person, a person that really does forgive. You know what I'm saying? Because they'll be like, oh, this person is sweet. They're always on the sweet side of life. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And so let's take advantage of them. Yeah. And I understand those things too. So, it's good to have standards and cross the line sometimes, because there are people that like to take advantage or like to focus on taking advantage of you or whatnot. So, I understand people that have gone through trauma or stuff like that it's hard for them to forgive. But what I can tell you is that once you start letting go and seeing that you shouldn't be afraid for the next failure or bad thing to happen in your life starts to change in a positive way because now it's not that you have a shield, but you have a good, strong armor to fight these battles.
The armor of God. For you, and all of you watching this, feel free to comment with what I'm about to ask. Like, you mentioned like 2 or 3 different instances. You don't have to get super detailed about it either, where it's been hard for you to forgive. And sometimes too, we can forgive and we still don't forget. That's fine and dandy as long as you're not feeling any of that resentment after you've forgiven. I hope that makes sense. Because forgetting doesn't necessarily mean you're carrying that weight anymore. You forgave the person, move on. And because you haven't forgotten and you have it in the back of your mind, allow yourself to grow from that in such a way where going forward, if you find yourself in a similar situation, you already know how to handle it and work with it, work through it. And this is something I'm saying to myself because I have to put it into practice as well. Working in the toxic environment that I've been working in, forgiveness has been tough, but thankfully I've had a really good support system, my family and friends who've been able to help me and pray through all of it. And that's helping me to forgive little by little, just by praying for the people who've done me wrong.
That's another huge one though. That's huge power right there. Praying for the person that's done you wrong.
It's hard to do, by the way.
Yeah, sometimes it is, but honestly, that's the best thing you could do because that demonstrates where your heart lies at the end of the day.
Yeah,
you actually care for that person, whether them people are treating you completely wrong or not. So, but that's solid. Honestly, I commend you for that one, honestly, for saying that, because it's hard. That's definitely hard, man. To pray for a person, because I'm not the type of person to say, "Hey, I'm praying for you," and I'm not.
No. If you say you better, you better mean it.
But when I say that I'm praying for you, dude, like
I'm actually praying for you.
Yeah. Whether I get on my knees or whether I lay in bed, go to sleep at night and pray for you. Yeah, man. I'm a very conscious person when it comes to that kind of thought.
And I think more people have to be, because if not, sometimes you just want to ignore it. And again, it continues to build up in an unhealthy way, and it's just eating you more than it would be that other person.
Yeah.
Definitely. So again, those 2 or 3 instances where it's been difficult for you to kind of forgive, or maybe at first it was hard for you to forgive.
Yeah.
And then you were able to actually forgive, even maybe without telling them. You might have forgiven them, and then maybe down the road you saw the person who did you wrong, and if you cross paths, you'll be like, "Hey, how you doing? You doing good?" You no longer bury that burden of unforgiveness.
Right.
If you can think of any.
Can you repeat the question?
1 or 2 or 3 instances of moments where you found it difficult to forgive.
Oh, I mean, like I said earlier, like, the cheating portion in my life, that was very strong, because it's like you have such a trust in the person that you're being in a relationship with, and then you also trust your homeboys and your friends around you with this person, and then they both do you wrong. It's like,
with the same person?
That's what I'm saying. Yes.
Okay.
So it's like your homeboy and then your girlfriend. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Of course.
And you trust both of them, and then both of them break your trust. It's like, damn, that's a hard pill to swallow, and it's happened to me multiple times in my life. And the people that know me can tell you who I am. I'm not gonna say who I am, but do I say that I deserved now? Many years down the road, did I deserve to get cheated on? Not at all. No matter what I went through in the relationship, you know what I'm saying? I went through an abusive relationship where she and myself, we harmed each other, verbally and physically. But at the end of the day, I can say this when it comes to relationships of a boyfriend and girlfriend and marriage or whatever. I'm not married, but what I'm trying to say is this: when you start to disrespect each other, and when you lay hands on each other for the first time, once you lose that respect, it never gains, and everything's a downward spiral from there. If you think that you're gonna get married and last the rest of your life with this person that you are hitting, or that person is hitting you,
no, that's insane.
Or you're disrespecting to the point where you're saying F you and this and that, something's wrong. You know what I'm saying? And I'm
at that point, you need a lot of professional help,
honestly, or go see a doctor or something,
Yeah.
and work it out, because it's neither party deserves to go through that.
No, not at all.
But also, bro, honestly, I've had to forgive all the people that criticized me for all I did in the past, man. Especially what I went to prison for. I've so many people on social media. I could literally one day pull it up and make a little quick episode or something down the road of like just thousands of comments, and how the news just, they did what they had to do, I guess. But I mean, just the people like, you could post me on the news and say, hey, I did a crime and you're going to prison. Okay, great. But everybody behind it, it's like, you know what I'm saying? They don't know the truth of
what happened,
or the reasons
and everything.
why it led me, life led me to go down those situations. But what I can say is that I do forgive every single person that is that I've been forgive, y'all. And I don't even think about none of that. I just laugh at it now, because a lot of the comments are funny. When you look at them. But I also want to take a moment to ask for forgiveness to the state of Florida. I want you guys to understand that I am doing better. I'm going to college. I'm a father now.
A podcaster
of something positive that I stand behind.
Yeah.
So
100%.
Once I'm off probation and all these things, I know that I'm going to get everything right, even more than what it is. So I just wanted to take my time to say that as well publicly, because whether I say it, 2-3 years down the road or now, it's the same thing. And I stand behind everything I speak. Essentially, especially when it's something serious to this magnitude.
Oh yeah.
But back on topic real quick as well. I've learned to forgive people that have, man. Honestly, I've just been through so many different situations. Like also, for example, like all the officers in prison. And all the people that did harm to me in prison. No rape or none of that. That's not nowhere near.
Sure, you didn't drop that bar of soap?
Nah, the bar of soap fell many times, but the bar of soap stayed on the floor. I just washed myself off if I had, or I'd call Jimmy, yo, bring me a bar of soap from my locker or something like that. And he'd throw it.
Why? You could have picked it up.
No.
Why not?
No, because you don't. Come on, bro.
Soap didn't forgive you for that. You just abandoned a good bar of soap.
Listen, I was actually out. Quick anecdote. I was a houseman in prison for about like a year and a half. A houseman yes. It's a person that cleans the dorm or cleans the pod where you're at. So you
a
get
pod. Are you like in a sand pod?
No, it's actually like an actual pod of glass. It's like all glass, and it's a big old pod. It's metal and glass, and then you got the actual 2-man cells, like where I was at with Buddha RIP, and you clean the whole pod or the dorm. If it's like a 72-man dorm where it's just straight bunks, and there's like 8, 10, 12 showers, you clean the whole showers and all that. Anyways, long story short, the good thing is that while I was there, most of the time I would just clean the whole dorm late night,
right,
when everybody was asleep, and then the officers allowed me to shower because they knew I was sweating my ass off in the back. So that kind of helped out most of the sentence to just shower alone and not have all these dudes on the pecker checkers is what we call them.
Why would they call them that? Anyway, that's a different story.
Pecker checker.
Oh yeah. I got that. I got that. I'm sure all of us got it.
Yeah. But anyways, long story short, and then like the good thing about the 2-man cell was that the showers were separate, so each shower had its own door. Okay. So you would also shower by yourself. So I really didn't go through a lot of like the prisons where like it was like open shower, like open base showers like that. I was
wondering if you ever did or didn't, because you might have.
When I was in the Panhandle, like the work camp had open showers, but then the West unit had open showers. But when I was like the staff barber, it switched. Long story short, like I didn't shower with much dudes while I was in there. And if it was, I was like 3 showers separate, where we had at least an 8-10 foot distance of each other. And I would like literally just
see. So for early on, the state of Florida was showing you grace and forgiveness because you didn't have to deal with a lot of pecker checkers. So that's good.
Yes, because the good thing is that, like, and now the way the state of Florida is, they've definitely separated every, like, okay, gang members to the panhandle. You know, you still have gang members throughout the state, but like the main crazy ones or lifers go to like certain prisons.
Right.
And then you got like the work camp people with low custodies in other places. But yeah, so that was a little bit of experience, you know, not too many pecker checkers, you know, you know, you have the OKs and the booty bandits over there as well. You know, those are obviously, it's self-explanatory.
We're gonna have to have an episode of just everything,
just
your entire experience, man. Holy cow!
You know, that's where I got my tattoos. So if you guys decide to clear and criticize the artwork, it's chain gang work. You can't expect it to be street work. So.
It's still pretty good though.
Yeah, it's not bad. Like I've actually had good comments on most of it. But,
yeah, it's pretty solid. That guy did good. So then, do you feel like you forgave like those officers and stuff like that?
Heck yeah, man, honestly, because
really, so if you see any single one of them on the street and you literally bumped into them,
I mean, you know, we've here in where we live, you know, I've encountered a few that when I came back to this side of town from the Panhandle, obviously I've seen like 4 or 5 of them.
And you're just like, what are y'all doing over here?
Yeah, but I know they would still beat on inmates and all this stuff, and I know to this day they still beat on inmates, you know, in confinement and all that stuff. But at the end of the day, you got to learn how to forgive and just move forward because that is the past. It won't ever. I will never forget these things, but at the same time, it's like. You just got to move on, man. I think that's the point of this topic today is just continue to move forward, continue to be positive, build a positive mindset. If it's hard for you to forgive, like everything else we said in every podcast, just a step at a time, moment at a time, but focus on the things that are positive that you need to build. Yeah. And slowly build those foundations, build a solid foundation in your life.
Absolutely.
Whether if it's through professional help, whether it's through a decent podcast like this one, whether it's through a friend, family member, however, a club in town that you know that might be positive. I'm not saying nightclubs, but you know, I don't know, just love doing that all the time. But yeah, man.
So then, do you feel like you owe anybody? Or I'm sorry, do you feel like you should ask someone in particular to forgive you nowadays, or do you feel like no?
Honestly, I'm in a moment in my life right now, personally, where I don't feel like anybody owes me an apology.
Okay, good.
And I can say that I am truly free internally.
Oh, glory!
Where I don't feel like, man, like I've done somebody wrong to the point where, like, damn, like I gotta go say I'm sorry to this person.
Yeah.
And again, usually at this point where I'm at, I kind of focus more on trying to avoid situations and work at it in a more mature way. Yeah. Where you just drop things, just let them go, keep going.
Yeah, don't let it fester in your soul.
Slide in your life, because if you always ponder on the negative and looking for negative in people, which I know a ton of people in my life that are like that. Yeah. They always are looking for that next negative thing, or like you said, write things down in their mind, or actually write them in notes to find an argument to fight about and stuff. You know, I just try to avoid them more.
That's good.
Just, you know,
probably the smartest thing you can.
I stay in my lane, honestly, and that's the most important thing. Whether you go to prison, whether you go to Disney, where you go to any part of this world, college, campus, anywhere, the store, just stay in your lane. And when people try to get in yours, try to just swerve out of the lane in the smooth way possible. And you'll see how life starts to line up as well. You know, just look at the bigger picture. What's the most important thing? Your freedom, your mental health, and all these things, or a terrible situation where you get yourself in trouble, get other people in trouble, or you just cause hurt, pain, and negative vibes. Just put it on a balance and see which one outweighs the other. Yeah. Whatever's more positive for you, take that, you know?
100%.
That's where I'm at. You know, I'm done. I've learned to forgive, honestly.
That's good. I've learned too, but I think I still need to, like I said earlier, I still need to work on that again with fellow coworkers, sometimes with family members for sure, and friends, especially when they don't meet my expectations and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
It's a work in progress, but I am happy to look back on certain moments and I'm just like, God allowed me to be mature in that regard to be able to do that, because me from a few days ago would have just been like, man, screw this person. I don't want to deal with them. I don't care for nothing. If I had it my way, I would have decked them in the face or something.
And again,
like
it also depends on the moment and the situation you're going through. You might have had a terrible work week or a terrible week in school or whatever it may be, and people catch you at the wrong moment where it leads to an altercation or a bad argument or whatever, or whatever the situation escalates to. So nobody's perfect, but again, the most important thing, it's like you're saying right now, is to work on it and to, once you see that your maturity is growing, you pat yourself in the back and continue to spread those things to other people. Again, we try to do this in all our podcasts to spread a blessing of positivity or whatever is, that can nurture your life or your soul. That's what we try to pass on, because we try to keep the people around us that way. Yeah. To continue to move forward in life. So,
I agree.
This is where I'm at.
100%.
Do you have anything else to say?
I don't really necessarily have much left to add to this. Mm-hmm. I feel like we might in another future episode.
Sure.
I think it's just something really important and a friendly reminder to find ways to put that into practice. Add it to your discipline, your weekly thing. Even if you might be in a season where you don't feel like you need to, because you genuinely don't. But put it into practice. Make it a habit. Make it second nature. And I'm saying this to myself as well. It's something that I want to continue to correct and work on, so that way when someone does me wrong, I can forgive them a lot quicker and not let it fester and build up in my soul. And then my growth is now stilted because I haven't forgiven so and so. Yeah. So and such.
And there will be moments, and I could say for myself, there will be moments probably where I personally it will take a moment to forgive somebody for something maybe like super crazy. It has to be something super wild. Yeah. I'm not gonna take that away, but again, the point is to at some point get to that point of forgiveness. Yeah. I have a quote real quick to close it out for you guys. It says, "When a deep injury is done to us, we never recover until we forgive." Ooh. Okay. Let it marinate. Anyways, thank you guys for the support again.
Thank you, everyone.
Like, comment, and subscribe on YouTube. We need them subscriptions. You guys are giving us love on all our social media pages like TikTok, Facebook, and Instagram, but we need a little bit more subscribers on YouTube.
Likes and comments for
likes and comments. The ringle, dingle, don't forget about it. Turn it on so when you guys know the time hits 12 o'clock on Wednesdays, you know that we're ringing the bell on your door. You guys got to open us up, or at least open the car door so you could hear us on your speakers on the way to work in the morning or something.
Right, yes. Or
anyways, school. Follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. I like TikTok now because it's definitely it's actually pretty booming. Like our numbers are doing pretty good there.
Hey man, that's awesome. I love to hear that, and I love knowing that we're able to help at least one person a day. That makes me happy. Honestly, anything else is a cherry on top.
Yeah, honestly, and we've said that since day one. So thank you guys again for the support. We love you with you guys. All our hearts and souls. There's two hearts here, so that's a whole lot of love. It's a whole lot of love
for sure. And as big as the size of our fists.
Yeah, they say this is the heart and this is the brain.
Oh shoot!
That's what they say. That's the size of the heart and your brain. So, it's wonderful. We love you guys. Thank you for tuning in. And it'll be until next time. See y'all later.
See ya.